In every conversation, in every interaction, there's a hidden layer. A layer that's buried under all the politeness, societal norms and expectations. A place where deep desires and fantasies reside. Most people never talk about this, especially when it comes to relationships and intimacy. For most women, there exists a desire, a fantasy, that has nothing to do with the typical cliches of romance, flowers, or compliments. This is a fantasy so raw, so powerful, that it's never spoken aloud. It doesn't involve begging, pleading, or over-explaining. It involves something much more primal and much more real, something that very few men even know how to recognize. It's about being taken, but not forcefully, not with aggression. Instead, it's about a man who simply knows what he wants, and he doesn't ask for permission. He takes control with an unspoken certainty, an energy so powerful that she doesn't need to make the first move. This fantasy, hidden in plain sight, exists within the deepest parts of her desires, yet is something so taboo that women rarely talk about it. It's a primal instinct that has been buried under societal pressures, but it's still there, waiting for the right man to come along and bring it to life. In this video, we'll peel back the layers of this powerful and elusive fantasy. We'll dive into the psychological and emotional roots of why it exists, what it means, and how you, as a man, can become the one who awakens it without a word. By the end of this journey, you will understand the true essence of attraction, the kind of attraction that doesn't rely on words, on status, or on flashy gestures, but on presence, confidence, and a certain type of power that makes her want to follow, chase, and surrender to you. To understand this hidden desire, we first need to dive into the world of human attraction, especially as it relates to women. Modern society often tells women that they should be independent, strong, and in control at all times. It's all about being self-sufficient, leading in both personal and professional lives, and taking charge of their own destinies. But deep inside, beneath all the hustle and bustle of daily life, something primal exists. The fantasy we're talking about here has nothing to do with power struggles. It's not about who's in charge or who's leading. It's about feeling safe enough to surrender. Women crave the feeling of being taken, of being led by a man who doesn't second-guess himself, doesn't ask for permission, and doesn't try to explain his every move. This fantasy is not about forceful dominance. It's about silent confidence, a type of dominance that comes from stillness, control, and certainty. Something rare, something that only a few men truly understand. The kind of man who can make a woman feel as if she is in safe hands, despite not having to ask for permission. It's the desire for a man who leads with certainty, someone who commands the space around him without saying a word. She wants to feel your presence before you even speak. She wants to know that when you touch her, it's not a guess, but a confident move. This is where the fantasy resides, in the moment of unspoken certainty. Imagine this moment. You're with her. She's engaged in conversation, maybe smiling or laughing. But there's an invisible tension in the air. She wants you to take charge, but she won't tell you this directly. She'll never say the words, but her body language will speak volumes if you know how to listen. This is the power of non-verbal communication. Women don't want to chase after you, at least not in the traditional sense. They don't want you to beg for their attention, to constantly reassure them, or to overcomplicate things with words. They want to feel your presence, strong, unwavering, grounded in certainty. And if you can communicate that without speaking, without any outward expression of doubt or hesitation, you'll unlock something deeper within her. A woman's desire to be taken, to be led, to be surrendered to, is deeply ingrained in her psyche. But here's the catch. She won't admit it. She can't. Society has conditioned her to believe that she must always be in control, always assert herself, and always be the one to make decisions. However, when she's with a man who knows how to lead in a subtle yet powerful way, everything changes. Silence can be one of the most powerful tools in attraction. It's not just about pauses in conversation, it's about stillness. The moment you stop talking, you create space for something much more powerful to happen. She becomes aware of your presence, and when done correctly, that awareness creates an intense attraction. The fantasy we're talking about doesn't involve constant chatter or validation. It's about a man who can sit comfortably in silence, holding space for the moment, allowing her to fill in the gaps. Your silence becomes magnetic because it draws her in. It makes her wonder what's going on in your mind. And when she starts wondering, she becomes more interested, more intrigued, more invested. Most men, unfortunately, try to fill every silence with words. They talk too much in an effort to impress. But real attraction doesn't happen in the words, it happens in the pauses. It's in those moments of quiet certainty that she begins to wonder, what does he want? What is he thinking? One of the most powerful ways to trigger this deep silent desire is through eye contact. Eye contact that holds, not too long, not too short, just enough to let her know that you see her, that you're present with her. When you lock eyes with a woman and hold that gaze, you communicate something far beyond words. Your eye contact should be calm, steady, and unwavering. You don't need to look away or nervously glance around the room. When you look at her, you want her to feel seen, and not just physically, but emotionally as well. You want her to feel that you are confident in who you are and that you know what you want. Presence is key in attraction. Most men can't sit still without fidgeting or checking their phone every few seconds. But a man who is centered, who is completely present in the moment, becomes magnetic. Your presence speaks volumes without saying a word. Touch is another crucial element in triggering this desire, but it's not just about physical contact. It's about knowing when to touch and when to pull away. Creating tension is one of the most powerful ways to increase desire. A subtle touch, perhaps brushing her hand, or a brief moment where your bodies are close, will make her body respond before her mind even catches up. Most men make the mistake of being too eager with touch. They think that the more they touch, the more they'll show affection. But real attraction builds through controlled withdrawal, when you give just enough, but not too much. A brush of your hand and then pulling away creates tension that will make her crave more. Finally, the essence of this desire revolves around masculine energy. We're not talking about machismo or aggression. We're talking about a subtle, powerful energy that is rooted in confidence, certainty, and groundedness. This energy leads. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't need to boast or seek validation. The masculine energy you project, through your body language, your eyes, your voice, and your actions, should communicate one simple truth. I know who I am, and I know what I want. And when you project this kind of energy, she will want to follow you, not out of weakness, but because it feels natural. She will melt into your presence, and the fantasy will come alive. Now you know the secret. You know the hidden desires that most women never speak of. It's not about being louder, being more dramatic, or trying too hard. It's about understanding the power of stillness, presence, and subtle dominance. When you can master these traits, you become the man who doesn't chase, but who is chased by her desires. You don't need to be perfect, you don't need to try too hard, and you certainly don't need to be someone you're not. You just need to be yourself, but more of it, confident, grounded, and sure of what you want. If you've learned something new today, imagine how much deeper you can go. If you're ready to take it further, join our members-only room, where we explore even deeper psychological principles and techniques for attraction. I'll also send you a free ebook that reveals how to awaken the deepest fantasies that women rarely admit. Until next time, remember, it's not about asking for permission, it's about knowing what you want and taking it without hesitation.